Hey everybody. Hey, sorry. I fell asleep. Could you believe that? Sorry about that. Wow, I just had to wait a little bit and I thought, I'm gonna just give my eyes a rest for like 5 minutes and I fell asleep. So sorry about that. I'm here 7 minutes late. Hope you waited. Wow, that's never happened before. A little tired. So, I was going to do an outside painting today, plein air, but unfortunately, it is raining outside, and I thought I knew that yesterday. And anyways, the stuff up here is when the place I was going to paint at was out at this Copper Falls State Park, and it looked like there was no Wi-Fi anywhere, so I couldn't have done it out there anyways, and so I did the one yesterday. And so here we go. We're going to be doing it in my hotel room here in fall. Where am I? Park Falls. I'm in Park Falls, Wisconsin, and and here we go. Hey Maria, Rita. Oh wow, I'm still waking up. I got everything set up, and I thought I'm just gonna take a little nap for 10 minutes, and the 10 minutes ended up being 15. Thanks, everybody. Okay, here we go. And so this island, this is the reason I'm doing this one is when I was at Dillman's last week, um I went to Dillman's with Dillman's to Greece about, boy, it's been, I forget how many years ago it was. And they had a book with all our some of our photos that we had taken in Greece, and this was one of them. And I thought, man, it reminds me of when I was there. And so that's what we're gonna do. And so here we go. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Oh, from Colorado. Hey, M. Doran. And so that's what the scene is. It's from Mykonos in Greece. We took a trip and I did a workshop there. And one of these, I love marinas, and actually that's what I was going to do this morning. I'm headed up to Ashland, Wisconsin, which is on the Lake Superior. And so I may still do that this afternoon. I may go there, and if I got any Wi-Fi, I may just do one in there too in the afternoon. So that's what. And it's still raining here, and again, where am I? Park Falls. I'm in Park Falls, Park Falls, Wisconsin. Let's start right here so I can get this done in an hour. Sorry again. So let's wet our background. And as you notice, I want to talk to you a little bit about, let's show the value study. So I was looking at the value study and basically the black and white, I always make a black and white of it. And so what I'm doing here is I'm going to take this mountain back and make my darks as part of the boat. So the boats and this island part right here are my darks, and then I want the water in the background to be my lights. And this mountain back here, as you can tell, what I did is this is the original picture, and when we were in Greece, man, the skies were always so blue. It was just amazing. This is a shot taken through this is cellophane that was on the photograph, and it was the cloudy in the beginning of this day when we were in Mykonos, but it turned out really, really bright blue sky, and so I'm going to do that too. So I toned down this mountain back here. I toned it down a little bit and make that into the light. So this right here will be into the light. All right, so here we go. Oh, that's right. Hey, Barbie. Hey, everybody. Happy Father's Day. And I got to call my dad, and so I get done here, and I'm finally awake. So let's go back to our tabletop, and let's get going here. So I'm gonna wet the sky, do my lights. I got a towel here, and I actually cleaned out this palette because it was in really bad shape, and that's I know I was a little tired this morning. I was cleaning out my palette. And so let's take a little bit of blue and go right into our sky. I'm going to do like a Greek island sky, nice and blue. Right in there, nice blue going. And I am working on a panel today again. I love panels now, watercolor panels. That way I'm done, I'm done. And I can go into these mountains too, so I can put it right over that. hopefully back home it's a little bit nicer weather than here. Here it's pouring rain here in Park Falls, Wisconsin. Small little town, and it's about, I think, I don't know how many miles, maybe 50 miles away from, or like 40 miles away from Ashland, Wisconsin, which is on the Lake Superior. And I'll be there this afternoon or whenever I take off here. And I'm staying there. I'm gonna try. They have a marina there. I remember there's a marina and a really cute little town. And so I'm gonna go around, take some pictures, and maybe paint a painting this afternoon too. A little whirlwind tour of Upper Wisconsin here. Copper Falls yesterday. If you ever get a chance, and here in Wisconsin, northwest Wisconsin, there's some beautiful waterfalls at Copper Falls. Really, there's like two rivers that come into one, and there's a little canyon, and it's amazing. Really, really nice state park. And so that's the sky, and then we go right into the water. I'm gonna go right into the water right away. My dad is gonna be, and my brothers, so I'm gonna be calling up there and see what he's doing. So I'm putting the water in just like the sky. Basically, water in Greece was super clear, and so that would mean that it's the color of the sky reflecting what's ever above it, and the boats, and of course, and the sky alone. Those are the things that this water's going to be colored wise. And I can even go through some of the boats. I'm going to leave some of the white. And the parts that are so beautiful in when we were in Greece was that when the buildings were so white, everything's painted white, and the street all the way down to the street, and the street would have like the path, and there would be like just painted right up to the sidewalk from the house, and they'd have this just beautiful white everywhere. And then when you'd have some of the bougainvillea plant life had growing on the side of the buildings was just gorgeous. And as you know, they also made the water a little bit darker and brighter because that's what it would be. If the sky is that bright, then the water would be that bright too. So in this picture right here, see that one right there, that one, the cloud probably came over just for a second there, and the water's not as blue. And again, it was behind, it was in an album, and so it didn't. I took it right to the album. I didn't take it out of the album to shoot it, but I just stuff I remember from this trip was that the water and the sky were so blue. Now, I could put some of the reflections in there right now, but I'm just gonna wait and just put them in either with white paint or with the darker reflection, whatever color the boat is. So I'm gonna do that afterwards. I want to put a little bit more waves in there right now, and so what I'll do is, but I just thinking, when I woke up because I was dreaming. So now I wish I would remember what I was dreaming. Just there for 10 minutes because it was something pretty cool, but I totally forgot what it was. And all of a sudden I woke up and I was like, oh, wait a second, what time is it? It's 9:05. I'm like, oh, shoot. Oh, I remember running downstairs to get back to the camera. Back to the thing. So I was dreaming in my thing that I was late. Wow, that's pretty interesting. So here's some waves. Some more dark waves down here. I'm just making them while it's wet so they're soft. And I'm gonna give little waves. And you can even, once it's dry, I can do even more and more little waves, like tiny ripples. But these are just the elongated waves, the long, large, long waves, the bigger waves. Like I said, I could do them darker and smaller as it gets dry, and they can be hard edged. And so then you have like little waves. All right, so now the sky is almost dry, and I can do the mountaintop there. Oh, I was gonna first do some worms back there. I kind of like that worm that's way back there. So I'm gonna take a little bit of warmth, a little bit of orange with the blue because blue and orange are complements. And I'll take a little bit of the orange. And so let's see, we're going to make this back here a little bit warm, just because the sun is hitting that part. And so it'll be kind of fun to have that hit the sun behind the mountain here. A little bit of orange. And by making an orange more reddish orange, that'll give me a more of a it won't turn green. So brilliant orange for that to happen. Just water it down. Excuse me. Still got my sleeping voice. So I'm gonna go here. I was even thinking I probably shouldn't lay down for a couple minutes. I'll probably oversleep. Not too funny. All right. So there we have a little warmth. And is there any place else we can put the warmth? Let's see. Maybe. Hmm. Let's put it on there. So those mountains back there, I know they're the same colors as what's here in the photo, but to push them back, I'm going to make them a little bit of the blue and maybe a little bit of purple and a little bit of the orange to dull that all down. So like a grayish blue, lavender. So let's see if this will work. It's a little bit too dark, so let's put it maybe a little bit watery. So I think if I water this down, that'll be perfect. Because I don't want it, again, I want it blue. I don't want it, I want it to look like it's the same as this, but just farther back and in the atmosphere. I can go into this part because it'll be darker. So basically a muddy blue. And I'm starting out and I don't have my gouache here, but yesterday when I did the one painting of the waterfall, I had my gouache out and it's basically watercolor and it'll just give you an opaqueness to it. And I'm really starting to get used to that. It's really kind of fun to have that possibility of making it thick and right on top. But I first try to get it with watercolor. I try to get everything I first can with watercolor, all the gradations, all the fun granulation that happens when you're doing watercolor. So I'm going to always try to keep that in mind and always try to make that first and foremost, and then come in with the gouache if I need to do something thick on top of that. Just I enjoy that look. I think it's like again the best of both worlds. I get the best of watercolor and transparency, and I get the best of like an acrylic oil where you get the thickness of the paint. All right, so now gonna in middle tones. So that's pretty much my middle tones right there. And look at how it's all my waves are kind of going away because it was wet enough. And so again, like I said, I can go back in and get those later. So now let's go get our well, the background's gonna be darker with the buildings, but let's put a little bit of color on those buildings. I don't want them pure white because they are in shadow. So let's get a little light blue across here to make it look like the buildings would be in shadow. Because all the buildings are white, but they're not white, sticking out white because they're in shadow on this side of the mountain, this side of the hill. We're gonna put a little bit of blue on those buildings. So real light wash on here just to get the white buildings to look white when I put the darks on them later. Always the lights first, right? Remember, always the lights first. And so even if it's like this with buildings that will be white in view, but they're gonna not be white because they're in shadow. This building, this boat has a little bit of light white on this side. It's like shadowing your whites, basically is what I'm doing. So this boat right here has a couple of shadow areas where the on the side is a little bit darker. Because again, it's a white boat, but there's a shadow side. Same thing with this. I'll make it a little bit more violet in here now too. No matter how small an area is of white, it's okay to go ahead and put other colors besides the shadow color. You can throw some reflected color from other things around it into that scene. Lavender. I really this design of my new palette here that I've used for plein air painting. It's not the best because I noticed that my little tin is rusting, so there's a lot of rust now happening in that thing. So that it's good to just keep on trying and looking for a better and better palette. And I thought a company that I saw at Pace was going to maybe help me out, but they won't contact me, so I'm not sure about that. They were going to do a plein air box with a nice palette in it, but that never came to fruition. So we'll see. I have to figure this out myself and get some. Cause I don't mind Holbein's palette. They have a palette that is okay, but they designed it wrong. I like the plastic and how they can take out different things, and even these tins, these little tins that I have in my palette, they're rusting because the water gets on metal, and sooner or later it's going to rust, right? And so that's not a good thing for longevity of this palette. So, and that's okay because I've been using it and just experimenting with it because it's like a prototype, and now I see that it's probably not the best design. And so we'll go on and see, maybe do a plastic or have more of a tin, not a tin, but a butcher's tray type of metal, enameled metal that would maybe not rust then. But then that makes it heavy, so I'm still looking. I'm still gonna get the best palette for us. One of these days, we're gonna figure it out. All right, so those are my white areas that are then put in to show the shadow parts of those darks, the dark parts of the white. And I use lavender, blue, and I should put a little bit of warmth in some of them, like this one in front right here. I may put a little bit of warmth in there. Love marinas. That's one of my favorite things to paint. I just something about a marina is just, man, it's just love it. There's really bright blue door right here, or front of this boat. And this boat right here is nice and dark, or it's like really bright blue. Greek Island blue, I call it. It's like all these parts of Greek Islands that have the light blue, turquoise, and they're such a beautiful color. And so I'm just using my horizon blue to get that color, kind of like a turquoise slash sky blue, light blue. Let's see what else we got up there. Okay, I think that's all of it. Side of the boat here too has a little bit of blue in it. They have those little, I think they're life rafts inside those little plastic things that they put out and they blow up. They're like blow up lifeboats that are on top of that boat. The side of the boat has a little bit of white trim. This is all white. See, the sun's coming this way, so anything that's coming this way is on the light, and on the other side of the boat is the dark. Easy, easy, easy. There's the water, which I missed. Waves in there. Any questions you guys have, please ask away. There's a cup of coffee I wake myself up. I must say it was a very good nap. I am wide awake now. Hey, Rebecca. All right, so I think that's all my middle tones. All my middle tones are pretty much done now. And so let's go into our darks. There was a boat way in the distance here, which was where our boat was parked. That's not our boat though. I think ours was right next to that one, right behind this big boat. Because I took this the workshop we took was on this gigantic mega yacht, and it was an amazing workshop. Let me tell you. Hopefully they'll do it again sometime. They're talking about it, and so we'll see. They may want to do this one again, different, maybe different ports and stuff. And though I would like to do the blank now, the Amalfi Coast. I would love to do the Amalfi Coast. So I have a feeling I want to do that one next. The Amalfi Coast would be really a lot of fun. Let me talk to my travel agent and see if they can have something going there, like a ship. That'd be kind of fun. Doing a lot of Amalfi Coast kind of paintings that I've been doing in my classes, and you'll see if you're taking one of my 3 classes coming up, my 3 workshops. I'm heading to, so if you want to know where I'm going to, I'm heading to Bagley, which is near Bemidji, Minnesota, and I'll be doing a workshop there. And I'm using my round brush here right now to go around negative paint these buildings. I'm using a little bit light red with purple and blue to get kind of a kind of a, the brownish color that I'm using for the land back here. I don't want to make it too bright a color because I want these ships to be very bright. And I still want to push this back a little bit so it isn't so vibrant a land mass. If I was doing it about the land mass, then yes, I maybe use a little bit different color. But for this, I'm trying to make it grayish and keep it back there. I don't want it to come forward so much. I do want to be in shadow, so it's the same as that, but in shadow. Amalfi Coast would be very cool. I mean, it's, all these like buildings in the hills and, beautiful, beautiful landscapes, water and land, just like this, basically the same thing. Beautiful little villages in the hills. My Crack'em gold. Get a little gold in here, and you notice I'm going around the buildings. I'm trying to do these little villages here with around the buildings. And the buildings, like I said, that's how come I put the paint on them first. So now they're not white, but they have a little bit of shadow in them. So pre-planning always helps with watercolor. Knowing where you're going with your watercolors. Good thing to do. And this is greenery, so I can be a little bit of green in there too. It is a big wash, and I'm kind of going down the hill. See, like this, I'm just trying to get it all done at one swoop, but a bit of purple here. And so I'm wetting as I go along. So it is wet, and I am floating my pigment, but it's while I'm going along. I'm going along here and just grabbing little parts, going around the buildings. Keep it going. Really trying to make sure I have it dark enough. Because this isn't part of my darks. This is part of my darks. And I noticed that it was still wet, so I've got to go up here and make it a little bit thicker so it doesn't run and bleed. Let's use more purple than this gray here. Greens and purples really work well together. I noticed that the trees yesterday when I was out there, man, trees like these pine trees in the forest and stuff. If you look at them, they're very, very purple, very purple. I'm surprised at how purple they are. They're gray, but in the purple family. Gray, brown, purple. It's all in the same family. I noticed they were done with the Cedarburg Plein Air Fest, the event, and Really, I'm sad that I missed it this year. I really love those plein air events. In July, I'll be doing one, and in August, I'll be doing one. So that at least I'll be able to do one because I get missed that one this year. And I did do the competition one, which was fine, but not the same thing as a plein air event. Plein air events are fun, and you get to meet a bunch of artists, and you spend a whole week painting. And how much fun can that be? There's my dad calling right at a moment. I'll give them a call later. I will give them a call as soon as I get done here. What is that way back there? Oh, that's part of the building or part of the boat. And so let's make this a little bit greener, a little bit more blue in this. I'm gonna connect them gold, a little bit more green over here. And as it comes away from there, look at what's happening there. It's still wet, and so I've got to put it a little bit thicker. And so that decided on its own what it's going to do for the sky back there. I'm going to paint the top of this boat. Because when you're doing something like this and you're painting the darks and mediums around lights, your negative painting, you got to watch out because you're doing two things at once. You're painting this dark and you're also painting the buildings. So you got to make them look like buildings and you got to make them look like boats. You got to go around those parts. And then we'll work on the buildings again later because they're a little bit bright right now. And so I'll go back into them. Hey, Sue. Yep, we'll see you in Bagley. That'll be so much fun. And they have a full house up there. And so hopefully I'll see everybody. And as it goes over here, I'm going to get lighter. Take it a little bit lighter. A little bit of orange in this. Let's a lot more purple. Bring that over here. And where this boat was going to be, I'm going to make it dark. So it's still into the dark part of the shadow because there's a boat that's sitting in the waterway over there. I took them out. I took it out of the picture because I felt it like went too far into this boat. And it's a good place for a guy to rest. And when there's so many boats, I just took it out. You're allowed to do that, just take in and out, comparing for the composition, making the composition better. So see now, if there was white here in this white boat, then I wouldn't be able to negative paint it like this. Because in the picture you see there's a boat back there, a white boat, and then that doesn't make that ship come forward. So that's why I took it out. And if I miss some of the white and some of the buildings in some of these areas, that's okay because I'll put them in with white paint later on. And just do a little bit thicker white paint. And then some of these buildings back here are dark. They're kind of sitting dark. And I'll put some actually a little white in there too to get those buildings back. I like how you change the color is and you move forward, gives it lots of depth as variety. Yeah, I'm always thinking about that. I mean, you have to go from light to dark, and now these boats are going to be really contrasty so that they really pop forward. I'm just going to put a few of these buildings in here now so I don't have to remember them later. Just little hits of white. And it's kind of burnt out over here, but I like that look. I don't want it to be that important back here. These buildings, I'm going to right away just make a little bit, take a little lavender and make them a little bit darker and give them little windows. I know this detail and I should be waiting to the end, but since I've got it in my brush, I'm just going to go real quickly across this. Let's do our boats and we come back to details, the really fine details. So for that, I'm going to start out with a smaller brush, my smaller 1/4 inch, because I'm going to do the sides of the boat that are dark now, because I'm in my larger darks, and there are no really larger darks. What I just did was a medium. Now I'm into my large darks, and the only thing that's dark is right here in the center here, the largest part. So let's make the boat color, which is a dark blue. These are all my blues. These are my purples. I did lay them out nicer this time. This is a little bit black. And so we're going to go right here and capture my darkest dark right from the get-go, so I know what I can regulate from. So let's go do our darkest dark, a little blue, purple, black, little, let's see, some earth tone. Let's get some red in there too. That makes it too purple, more blue. There's my Prussian blues right here. Actually, yeah, it's a Prussian blue. So that's pretty dark. It's not gonna get much darker than that. And let's go right in here underneath this area here. And I'm going a little bit slower here because it's about this. This is my center of interest, so don't rush that part. Just get in there and get it all looking good. You paint those stuff that you love, and I know and love boats. I worked at a marina when I was in high school. I've always had a boat. I did get rid of it last year, but I used to always have a boat. I used to. I was a boat rigger at one time, putting windshields on boats. That was in high school. Can't believe they trusted me to put engines in on the boats. I would mount the engines on the back of these like 20-foot boats. They're smaller boats. They're not this size. So I'm going in here getting my darks. And when I'm penciling in, you notice I have put little marks. So if an area that you want to have dark in your painting and you're drawing with a pencil, just shade it in. It's okay to shade in because the graphite is kind of a area it's almost like a pigment too, and then you'll know where it is. That I did that yesterday when I was out on the field, because sometimes there's like in a waterfall, it's so hard to see where the water's coming down or where the rocks are coming out of there. So I just literally take my pencil, my lead pencil, and I make it dark. I shade it. I shade the area, and it's covered up, see, with a really dark. And so knowing that it's going to be really covered up with the dark, go ahead and shade it. That way you don't have to search back and forth in your with your eye to see what is good dark, what's light. If you know when you pencil it that you would put it right away, put some shading in there, you know that's the dark area. See, if you're doing oils, you're putting those darks in right away, and you're even when you're blocking everything in, you're putting all these darks in. So it's kind of like doing that. I'm taking my pencil and blocking it in, so I know later on where the darks are going to be. The darks help to make things look, like they're contrasting. It gives a shape to things. Then darks, I always say, are the things that finally give you shape to the objects that you're kind of portraying. These boats now are becoming boats because of the dark, right? And now this is really dark with no reflected light in there. And so what I'm gonna do while it's wet, I'm gonna take a little bit of blue and reflect it into the side of the boat and let it float. Let it float your boat. So let's just go in there. And now I'm gonna put a little bit of the blue for the reflection in the water. I'll put that in there right away. And going around the light reflection, that's this little bobber here or whatever, this little buoy thing. The back of that boat is lighter than the water, so let's use the water and the boat darkness to give the shape of that boat, and then give it also a reflection into the water. And then this boat will also have a reflection in the water with a little bit of light right here from the boat. Just bring that down. This boat would be really reflected light blue. You notice I'm using my smaller brush because I do have to get in there now and actually give it detail and do my dark lights, the bigger dark lights. Love the effect of floating pigment on the front hill. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's you always wet in the wet gives you floating pigment. Float that pigment. This boat, I went away from now. I usually try to get the parts done, but there's a lot of boats here. And so this goes to the front of this. This is the back of this boat. And there's some bumpers on this boat that I'm going to do around right into the water. And this is another bumper right here. And again, not just one color, not just one color. I don't care how small it is. You can put colors even in a small area. This is the rudder of this boat. It's the back, and so I'm just going to put this in there. And then right away, go around this bumper that I'm not sure why they have it hanging there. It's not going to bump it against anything. Maybe when a boat comes in from another part. And so then this goes down, and there's a reflection of the bumper in the water. It gets a little bit lighter blue. I need to wipe off a little part of my area. This is all background color. I'm going to go 7 minutes over. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go 7 minutes over since I slept in. So I will finish it. Okay, this this boat. 7 minutes for those who just joined in. I overslept by 7 minutes. I went to take a nap before I started here, and so I woke up in a panic. Actually, in a dream, in the panic. It's so weird because in my dream I was running down the stairs to go get back to the thing to do my to do my this paint along, not paint along, but demo. Inside the window here. We gotta get some warmth into this area because we got contrast, but it's good to get a little bit of warmth. And there's all these pink and red things around and orange things that are around since I'm using blue as my complement. So let's put some orange in here. Like in here, there's something orange. The side of the boat here is actually orange. Let's make this whole boat orange here. And the back of the boat, this is the dock right there. The dock goes around here and goes dark right there. So dock right there, and then it comes up right here. There's a boat right here. Stop jumping around here. I try not to jump around, but it's hard when you're waiting for things to dry, and so I'm just jumping back and forth here to different parts. Make these parts a little bit darker. Here's the windshield of this thing. There's a orange raft on top of there. Let's put an orange raft up here. This is the sail, and usually those sails in the United States are all blue, but here it looks like they're brown. But let's make it blue. Let's make the top of the sail the sail cover. Covers the sail up there, and then this is just a darken here on the side. Hey Sylvia, good morning. Get some bright red here. Make the top of this boat like red. They use a lot of red on the stripes of their boats too. Even though this one does not have one in the picture, but I can put anything I want in there. Let's work on this big boat here a little bit 'cause there's a lot in here. When it comes to the masses, the masts, I'm there. I do have my $1.25 Dollar Tree thing. Let's put one in just to show you. I'm just going to take my round brush to make the masses, the masts. I'm just going to take a dark and just really lightly go over like this. Makes it very easy to make a straight line. I'll clean it up again, push it down again. Nice and straight. The wires and the ropes that hang everything together, those I do with pencil. I'm hopefully one of these days, Holbein's coming out with a colored pencil, watercolor pencil, and so I'll be using those to do things like this. All these little things. Here's a lamppost on the dock. This dock was really cool. I must say, you weren't allowed to get on it. It was like private, but oh, I should have went behind that boat. Oh well. I put another one here. So $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. It's a great little way of 'cause I can hold the back and I can just push it down here. I just hold it back and I hold it on an angle. And I haven't had any problems with it going behind it either. Because I pulled it down pretty hard. And I don't go really wet. This back here, another line. That one's thicker. I'll make that one a little bit thicker, like on this part. There is the part of the sail that comes back. This is a sail, which on these boats is pretty cool. Not only is it a motorboat, but they have the sails up there. There's little lines connecting up there, little T. Making doors and windows. The blue over here is a little bit darker, so it feels more gray over here, like it's in shadow. Little by little, it's coming together. There's a lot of detail that something like this has, but I'm still trying to work the big areas first. Still trying to work the big areas first and bring it down farther and farther, smaller and smaller to get all the little things happening that are happening in the details. Still trying to make sure that my values are, what they're supposed to be, and my colors are. So this is inside, I think, right? This is this, and this is inside this area. So let's make this really dark on inside this little boat area here. So knowing your drawing and knowing what things are in and out, that's another thing, know what it is that you put down and you drew. And I can simplify it a little bit. I mean, you can't see everything in these areas, but this is my center of interest. So the more I can get detail in here, the better. Like if you can show what's happening, that's a good thing. There's a little railing going down with a walkway going off to the deck, to the dock, I mean. This railing is a wood railing on the top, but then just dark on the side here. So let's just go real fast, do a little brush stroke that's fast. Get a little texture in there. Inside the boat there. Gotta hurry here. The side's darker in the shadow. Let's put this right into the reflection into the water. One side is a little bit warm with red, because this side of the boat is red. And so let's put that right into the water. Maybe a little bit darker. And in this picture, the shadowing doesn't, or the reflections don't go down as far as I'm having them go down. I'm having them go down farther because my waves are not as ripply. The more ripple you have in the water, the less your reflections are going to go down into the water because you just get a short little ripple. But when it's long, it becomes a lot longer. When it's, I mean, when it's calm, the water, you see the whole boat, and it's almost you see the whole boat more than if it's just a little bit of ripples, then you see a little bit of the top going down there. Things here and there. Let's put everything on nice and dark railing types like this. So the neat thing about using opaques later on is that if I misplace something or I don't something that I don't light or bright in color, by putting it in with a thick paint, it makes it look kind of like an oil painting because you're going to make it thick afterwards. And it's a cool look, actually. I like the look. Uh, Like when I did my leaves yesterday, if you saw the waterfall I had done yesterday, look on Facebook or on Instagram, you'll see I did, how's this boat look in front? Okay, this is all dark underneath here with a lot of windows. What was I saying? I was saying, and also reflected light. Getting reflected light into things. It's really nice to see like this red. If the red is up on top here, it also goes into the water on the bottom. And so when I'm doing the reflection, it's just gonna be opposite this, and then I'm gonna kind of go dark here. And first do the dark of the water first, do the color of the water first, and then this, don't do it like a mirror, do it more like a reflection, like you flip the boat over type of thing. And then see, I'm just using the dark blue right now, and then I'll take the other colors like that really bright color and I'll put that in afterwards. And then whatever up here too, that's going to be right here, right? There's going to be a little bit of that. Anything that's up here then goes down here. Give me that oil painting look where you go right on thick. It's like it's the thickness that makes it look cool. And it works on watercolor too. It works really fine. And all these little reflections in the water. So my water is a little bit more still than it is in the photo. In the photo, it's kind of ripply, a little bit more ripply, and so I'm making the water just a little bit more still, like it's not as many waves. I'm just looking what else up here, and it goes straight down. White there. See all the little white things? I'm gonna put them in with white paint because I didn't put down masking fluid, and I'm just not a masking fluid person. So I just do that with white paint later. All these railings, you can go and get all the really fine stuff, like railings and little lines and buoys. That buoy right there should, instead of being white, it should be like orange or red. Let's put it again, let's go in here and get some more color to kind of pop out a few things like this color on the side of this boat, maybe. We're gonna make it a little bit red in here in the back. We're sitting on the pier. All right, so I've got 7 more minutes because it's almost 10 o'clock. So, like I said, I started 7 minutes late. So, we're going to give you 7 minutes that I took away from you because I didn't start at time. Here's just the backwater. Oh, I didn't get any of this reflection. That's it. That dark reflection will be in the water here, and this whole side here should be in the water too. It should be showing into the water. Let me get a little bit more. And I know when you're putting in gouache, it's thicker, and it's not good for like putting into TWSA or some of those shows. But you know, I do whatever I can to make the painting look good, and if that's what makes it look good, then I'm going to do it. Let's get all this. Let's get the darks first, and then put some more white in there. So this big dark comes down here, and this big side comes right through the on top of this boat. Take some blue first. First take the blue, and even on this, and there's gonna be a lot of white in the water, but we can do that in a second. This big pole right there comes way down here. I break it up. See, I'm gonna break it right up there. I'm just gonna get this part darkened. And when you're doing water reflections, always make your brush work back and forth horizontal. Don't let it go up and down. I've seen people take the brush, like a big brush, and you kind of wisp it down. That's a different story. It's a different look, and that works. But if you do this, you have to do one or the other. So I can't do now a brushwork like this because it's a different kind of look. But I can go sideways and give it this kind of look. Make it a little bit darker there. And then into my buildings a little bit, get them a little bit darker. Give them little windows and such. Just a little bit darker. They're just a little bit too bright. They should fall back. And they should have a dark side and a light side too. Hope everybody has a great Father's Day. Hope you're out there having better weather than us we have here. It's still raining. Looking outside, it's still raining. But hopefully it will let up. By the time I get to Ashland and maybe up there, it's nicer. Ashland, Wisconsin, right on the Lake Superior. I'm going to try to go down by the marina and see if there's any boats that I can paint. I love to paint boats, like as you can tell right here. All right, final thing to do is take white. I'm just going to take pure white. I have a little bit of green in here from yesterday. So I'm going to just take my paper towel, dab in there, get rid of that green and the whole thing. And now go in there with some highlights, little highlights. What does that mean? Like here, this boat right here would have some light into the water. Reflection, right? It would be reflected right there. And there's just reflections in the water too, in general. On the top of the boat, there's a little bit of white. You can do that same thing into the water. These lines, there can be some parts of the mast that you make a little bit lighter. There's a lot of reflected light in all the little white that's in the chains and the ropes and stuff, and in the sparkle of things. And when the sun's out on water is just amazing when it comes to marina scenes, nautical scenes. They're just adding white paint. I'm not gonna put masking fluid on all this. Just use white paint. It's super fine. And also, unless you need pure white, sometimes you want pure white to happen, then you may want to use masking fluid. Ropes hanging. Let's get a rigger for that on the ropes. And like I said, normally I would use for these ropes, I would use a pencil with a thing, but I'm just going to use this really quickly. Get some of these ropes in here. And I'm doing not too dark, not too dark, because you make them too dark, they'll stand out like a sore thumb, and you don't want that either. Just make them dark enough so that you can see, slightly see some of these lines. And it's a one brushstroke deal. Like when you go down, put your finger down and just, when you start, go. Don't stop. And you don't really need to pencil them on. Look where they are in the picture. And even these are too thick, actually. They're too thick, but that's okay. Let's go this way. Goes this way. You can also make some light ones. They're reflecting the light. When you're doing light ones, you really got to make it wet enough, and so that again it pulls. And I always test it on another board, but which I don't have right now, so I'm just gonna do it without that. It's holding the little deck right there up so that you can get onto the boat. The whites that you're reflecting in from the top, just put a few little dots there, here and there. And if there is the sun out and the water's moving, there's always going to be sparkle if the sun is directly somewhere in front, like where you can see, they actually see the sun. Here it wouldn't be as much because it's not happening. But I can put it on where the side of these boats are hitting light, and then you put that into the water. This big sharp part right there, look at that, it's going to be right in here. Antennas and all that kind of stuff on there. Just go crazy with it. There's a lot of ropes hanging on things too, so don't be afraid of putting ropes hanging everywhere. All right, I think that's about it, guys. Let me see. I'm just taking a look at it. Yep, I think that's it, guys. So 10:05. Fine, give you seven more minutes, and so have a happy Father's Day, everybody. I'm gonna go call my dad now, and one more thing, a red stripe right here. All right, there you go. So if you're around and you see me, hey, if you're online this afternoon, I may be doing a thing. So it's going to be, if I get, again, it has to be, there has to be coverage and with my phone, but there's not much coverage up here when it comes to my phone. So I don't, and unless there's Wi-Fi, which this hotel does have, and so that was good. Any other last questions? I don't think so, right? So have a great Father's Day, everybody. And I will see you in Bagley, which is near Bemidji, and starts on Tuesday. And so on Tuesday morning, I'll be in class. Hopefully, I will get something written for this week. I'm gonna have to do that on Monday. Monday, when I'm there in the area, I'm gonna be writing my newsletter, and so we'll figure something to paint, and we'll see you then on Thursday. All right. Unless I see you at the live workshops, I'll see you then. Bye. Have Father's Day, everybody.